Hi guys, Crafty Kim here. It's been a while since I posted a video, but I'm super excited to share these 3 Dollar Tree DIYs with you. I hope you enjoy the video. For the first project, we're going to use this Frisbee I got from Dollar Tree and also this mirror from Dollar Tree. And then I'm using some wooden beads that I have from Amazon, but you can certainly use the beads that you get from Dollar Tree as well. And I bought this metallic spray paint and I absolutely love it for doing faux galvanized projects. So obviously the first thing we want to do is take off the sticker on the Frisbee, and then I'm just going to wipe it down to make sure there's no dust or anything on it because we're going to take it outside. I apologize, I thought I was recording and missed the beginning of this video, but basically you just want to give everything a good coat of the spray paint, and I only used one coat. Now just opening our mirror, we're going to pop off the back. Usually the mirror stays with the backing. I've done this before, but for some reason the mirror stayed on the front this time, so I had to take it apart in 2 pieces. And you'll see later how that is not necessarily a good thing. And I'm going to use the color Cashew by Waverly to give the mirror a coat. I just gave it 1 coat, and then I'm going to use some antique wax to apply onto the mirror and use a paper towel to wipe off any excess. And this gives it that nice faux kind of wooden look to it. Now taking my beads, I'm going to use a wet wipe and some of that antique wax and just put it all over the beads. I suggest wearing gloves for this because the antique wax kind of stains your fingers and gets all over the place. And now it's time to make it look like galvanized metal. So the first color I'm using is Steel by Waverly, and I'm just using a little sponge that I get from Dollar Tree. I just cut off a piece of it and I'm just dabbing it all around. And then I'm going to use the color Silver Lining by Waverly to add the little highlights, and that's it for the galvanized look. And then I just decided to add a coat of Mod Podge to the Frisbee and also to the mirror just because they're both plastic, and this helps keep the paint nice and sealed so it doesn't scratch. I decided to string my beads to make it a little bit easier to apply to the Frisbee. You can skip this step if you really want to glue every single bead on, but this just makes it so much easier to only have to glue certain parts of it down. And then I just glued the ends together, which unfortunately I did not get that on camera. I apologize. And then we're just going to lay it down on the Frisbee and use our glue gun to hot glue the beads directly to the Frisbee. And this is why I don't like when the mirror comes off of the backing, because when I went to glue it back on, all I did was slightly push it down and it broke. Luckily, I had another mirror in my stash and was able to complete the project. So please be very careful when dealing with the mirrors because they are super thin and very fragile. So now I'm just adding some hot glue to the inner part of the Frisbee so that I can glue the mirror directly to it. I was very generous with the amount of hot glue I used for this. You can use whatever you'd like to make a hanger. This is actually Dollar Tree nautical rope, and I took it apart and braided the pieces together. So I had some left over from a different project. So I just cut a little loop, and now I'm just hot gluing it to the back of the Frisbee, and that will be my hanger. And here it is all finished. I feel like this kind of has like a beachy vibe or nautical look or something. I wasn't sure how I felt about it at first, but it's growing on me. I hung it in my dining room next to my shelf, and I don't know, it just adds a little bit of warmth to the corner of my dining room. I hope you guys like this. Let me know if you think it looks like it's missing something, or if you would just leave it as is. You could also add some paint like burnt umber to make it a little rusty. I just decided to leave it just the regular galvanized look. And instead of the beads around the edge, you could certainly put rope or something else. I'm pretty happy with it. Okay, so for our next DIY, we're gonna use 3 of these stretched canvas. They're 5x7 from Dollar Tree, some of the nautical rope from Dollar Tree, and then the stickers that they sell at Dollar Tree, the Home Sweet Home. The first thing you want to do is remove the staples from the back of all of the frames, and I just use a knife for this, and it seems to work the best for me. Next, we're going to trace out the edge of the canvas so that we know what size we need to cut out. And taking a wet wipe and that antique wax, I give all 3 frames 1 coat of this and wipe off any excess. Then we're just gonna hot glue the canvas to the back of the frames. I used the opposite side of the canvas, so it's the cream color. And now I'm just going to take those stickers that I cut out from the sheet and apply them directly to the canvas. Now taking some E6000, I add some to the edge of the frame, and I also add some hot glue for that instant hold. I decided to make this sign vertical, but you could certainly do it horizontal as well. Then I decided for extra support to just use some of these popsicle sticks I got from Dollar Tree. You can use any popsicle sticks you have on hand, and I just put 1 on each seam of the back of the sign. I decided I wanted to add some rope, so taking that braided rope that I had from that previous project, I just glued it along the seams of the signs in the middle, and then I created a hanger using the same rope. Using my lighter, also from Dollar Tree. I decided to burn the edges of the rope to help clean it up a little bit and add a little bit of that burnt look. And like I said, I'm just adding the rope to make a hanger on the back. And here it is all finished. I'm very pleased with how this sign turned out. I think it came out better than I thought it would. And literally for less than $5, you can make this sign. That's if you don't have everything on hand. And I just think it turned out super cute. For the final DIY, I'm using 2 of these pet bowls from Dollar Tree. I picked up the color tan because I figured it'd be easier to paint. And then these chopping mats come as a package of 2, but we only need 1 for this project. And some lavender that I picked up from Walmart, and also the famous metallic spray paint. So just giving each bowl 1 coat of spray paint so that we can do the faux galvanized look on these. And same technique, I'm using the color Steel by Waverly, and then I will go in and use the color Silver Lining. And again, you could certainly add rust to these if you like. I just left them the plain galvanized look. You can use Mod Podge to add a coat over the paint to help it from scratching, but I had this chalk paint clear matte spray, so I decided to use that instead. And now we need to fit our cutting mat to the size that we want. So one side of the cutting mat is kind of shiny, and I just used a wipe off marker to draw where I wanted to cut it, and then it wipes right off after, so easy peasy. One thing I noticed when cutting these, don't close your scissors all the way until you're done cutting, if that makes any sense, because it does leave little marks. If you just keep cutting slowly without closing your scissors all the way, you should be fine. And here it shows that it's about halfway up the bowl. I did end up trimming that down to almost like a quarter of the way up because I didn't want it to hide that much of the bowl, and you'll see that in a few minutes. Okay, so here you can see that it's about a quarter way up the bowl, and I'm just gonna add some hot glue to that little lip on the inside of the bowl, and I start with the middle first and then work my way to the edges, and that kind of helps let the hot glue dry and give a nice strong hold. Now you could totally just leave it as is, but I decided to take some of this rope I had on hand. You can use nautical rope from Dollar Tree, just take it apart and just use 1 strand. And I just hot glued it to the inside edge to kind of finish it off a little bit more. And now I'm going to add a hanger by using that same braided rope that I used for my other projects. Now taking the lavender, I'm cutting the pieces off and just sticking them right inside the bowl. I'm not gluing them or anything. That way if I want to change it out, I can. And the cutting mats have a little bit of a haziness to them, so you can't really see the bottoms, but if that bothers you, you can certainly add some Spanish moss or, flower moss or whatever they call that from Dollar Tree. But I don't mind the way it looks just with the stem showing at the bottom. And here they are all finished. This is definitely my favorite DIY of the 3 today, and I think it looks really nice with the Home Sweet Home sign in my dining room. The best part is they're so light that I use tacks to hang them all, so there's no big holes in my wall if I decide I want to take them down and move them around to another room. I'm really excited about how these turned out. I hope you guys enjoyed this as much as I did. I think they look like galvanized bowls, and I just love how they turned out. And you could certainly do a grouping of all of these DIYs together. Right here, I'll show you on my floor. I kind of gathered them before I hung them up to show you different ideas. So you could certainly put them in a big grouping or hang them all separate. It's really up to you, but I kind of made them go together in case you wanted them in the same room. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and have an awesome day. And please make sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell for future videos.